to welcome everybody to the Coaches of the Mouth pod. This is Coach Jeff Williams along with Coach Daryl Fimple and the Mouth Brent Bender. Guys, before we get into the recap of last week, let's go ahead and thank our partnerships and our sponsors, because without them, this would not be happening. Obviously, Lindsay and Associate, All-American Steakhouse in Springdale, and then the Pigs brand. We appreciate these partnerships to make this happen. Daryl, you and Mouth, let's get into it a little bit. What a great week of football this past week. And what did we learn, Daryl? I mean, that Rivercrest Newport game came down the wire. Valley View dominates. Springdale sitting at 5-0. Mansfield goes into Charleston with a historic win. Shiloh goes up to Mountain Home and wins. What did we learn this past weekend?
What did we learn? It's eye black October is what it is. That's what it is. Everything's going down in October. We're finding out who's who. It's no longer you can hide from each other. We found out Mountain Home wasn't ready for the big show. Shiloh said, hey, we're still the big dogs on the block. They took care of business. Shiloh looks like they're on a path to getting things figured out. They actually threw the ball pretty well last week, too. Rivercrest and Newport, luckily that the Colt was on the road, because he probably would have died scoring, running all them laps around there. He probably would have just killed over on them. See some great football, though. Some great atmospheres. You had a packed house if you got to watch them on YouTube and stuff. And the broadcasters on YouTube are fantastic.
Aren't they awesome?
Our guys at Rivercrest are phenomenal. I mean, they're phenomenal, dude.
Hey, word on the street, are you going to go to the press box? They've put an invite on.
We're in negotiations right now. I said something about a pony ride, maybe a pony ride up into the press box. Then they offered me a barbecue sandwich, which kind of got me kind of leaning towards going to Rivercrest.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have a few more big games. Mouth, what'd you take? What's your recap this past weekend? You were you missed some games. You were at the Hog Tennessee game. You saw a classic there. But what'd you learn this weekend?
Well, I agree with Daryl, with Coach Fimple, that Mountain Home is not quite ready for the big time just yet. They're getting close, but they're not quite ready. If they were ready, they would have taken care of Springdale.
Well, they had a tough one, and they had some injuries in the game, and they're looking, could really sew up that 3 seed. Lake Hamilton goes in and kicks a field goal against the South Side in the last seconds. Here's what I learned. If you're not ready to play, you're going to get beat. You saw that all week. I mean, even a lot of crazy games. Fayetteville Rogers game came down the wire. Rogers leads the whole time. If you're not, and you could see it on not only on Friday, you see it on Saturday. If you're not ready to play, you're going to get beat. And we're in that point in the season during conference play, where you're 1 or 2-0. And guys get behind or lose 1 or 2, they're playing a little bit desperate. And that's what I took. You've got to be ready to go each week in that part of it. Well, Daryl, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and get in your top 6. Could be some movement here this week.
Could be some movement around here. All right, here we go. Our little poll right here. We've got a bunch of alsos right here. We got Newport that dropped out. But after Barber had over 202 yards against her Rivercrest Colts, turned a kickoff, 90 yards, phenomenal player. It was like a track meet. It literally was a track meet. I think that those guys might end up meeting up sometime down the line, too.
I don't think it's a question.
And the other one that's become a player here, and they snuck around on us because they got off to a bad start, Arkadelphia.
Yes, sir.
Our guy that's playing quarterback, Bryson McCoy, he had another big, huge game. 18-27, 225 yards passing, 4 TDs, and they just mollywopped Bauxite. I mean, just mollywopped them. So I think they're back in the mix here. Carlisle still in there also run.
Oh my God, give me a break, man! Come on,
we got to play somebody. We got to line somebody up there.
We can't control around
too. Somebody else sneaking around. Malvern.
Our boy Johnny Fogelman.
Malvern sneaking around down there. Quarterback Cedric Bishop. They call him the Bishop. He's awesome. He had 3 touchdowns passing last week and 1 running. Malvern, they're off to a 5-0 start. Conway Christian also had a big win this week too. So they're on they're the outside 5 looking in on our little guys. Number 5, I talked about them earlier. It's Arkadelphia. I'm gonna slide them in there. They're 3-2, but they're the right kind of 3-2. I think they got some mojo, figured out what they're good at, and here they come. And number 4 is going to be Boonville.
Yeah, man.
Know how we do it in Boonville. We're only giving up 8.3 points a game. All right, we're pretty upset about that too. We're pretty upset about working on 2-point conversions so we can drop that number, maybe block a kick or something there. Boonville's also, they had a big win last week, 42-6 over Hackett. They're just rolling along like they always do. But number 3, coming in number 3. All right, they were number 5, I think, last week. But when you win, you get moved.
Oh, I got the car! My God, my God.
The Colts are number 3. I got one word for it. Well, actually, it's one name for you. Cavante Washington.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Man.
Cavante Washington had a career night last week. We'll get into that more on. But he had 267 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 113 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns. He accounted for 380 yards and 4 touchdowns on the night, and he was electric. And we ran quarterback power at least 42 times.
Hey, he threw the ball. Our boy Buddha.
He threw dimes to Buddha.
Man.
I mean, Buddha's on the outside.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good-looking kid too.
Yes,
you want to talk about good-looking kids? If I was a Division II,
oh my God,
I think I would just live there. I mean, I just pull up there and just say, "Hey, come on, guys," because they are loaded with weapons. Prescott's coming at number 2. We're giving up 10 points a game. We're working on trying to block field goals this week to make that. Here's the interesting fact about Prescott. They're averaging still about 45 or 50. Dwayne White, he actually has 8 sacks on the year. They're getting to the quarterback. I think they got 16 sacks on the year already. So they give quarterbacks heck there at Prescott. They're our number 2. Number 1, still Elkins. Yeah. Elkins still rolling in number 1. The Antlers are on a row, still averaging over 50 points a game. And they got challenged a little bit a couple weeks ago by Gentry. But I think that probably just got them a little bit lined out. Sometimes I think that's what happened too a lot yesterday. It was like Coach Saban used to say, rat poison will get you.
That's the truth.
Rat poison is undefeated, man. It is undefeated. And I think that got a little taste of that. And our big schools are also, we got the Springdale Red Dogs looking on the outside, 5-0 for the first time since 2017, I think is what they said. All right, first time in the league play that they've started out 2-0 also. Doing it all kinds of ways. Hey, they are the greatest quarterback sneak team in America. That guy had 3 quarterback sneaks for touchdowns. You got to like that offense. Valley View got one name for Valley View as their quarterback, Drew Gartman. Drew Gartman went over for 400-something yards. Little Rock Catholic's 5-0. Rolling along, and I think Shiloh Christian's going to make a name here or a big, huge push coming down the stretch too. Number 6, though, in our big overall is Pulaski Academy, led by Cobbs. Cobbs has got over 1,800 yards of total offense. He's also their leading rusher, which going against Bryant this week, he might not want to do that. He might want to throw it away as much as he possibly can. I would say that was in the cards. Fayetteville found a way to win at the end. They're going to come in at number 5, just finding ways to win. But what a valiant effort Rogers gave. I thought Rogers was.
I tell you what, they and I'm going to say Coach Harpson came in with good plan, went in the empty and ran the ball and did some different stuff. And then the last play of the game, and you talk about a great job by a staff and an offense coordinator getting, the last play, they get tackled on the 5-yard line. But it's obvious they practiced that play 100 times, and they were ready for that situation. You got to be ready for situations, guys.
Yes, especially in October.
Yep.
Number 4, Parkview. I don't know where we're going to get tested again, but we did find out we have another quarterback.
Yes.
Pretty good. Pretty good guy. I mean, probably start anywhere else in the state of Arkansas. Yeah, he's pretty good. Now we're going to play both of them just because it's fun. I mean, what do we do? And then number 3 rolling in there is Conway, explosive. Golly, man, they can score in a hurry. They can, and they're fixing to get the meat of their schedule now. So we're going to find out a little bit about the Wampus Cats. Oh yes, and you're going to find out that a 4-quarter game, if somebody gets them into it, we'll see how that goes because that's going to come down the stretch here. But I still also think that you got to score about 50 to even be in the game with them.
Yeah,
I mean, they are so explosive. They don't have to worry about big, long drives. I mean, they are explosive several different ways. I think he threw for the 4 touchdowns again to 4 different people.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like he's just throwing the same dude over and over. So Conway comes at number 3. Number 2, it helps when we get our quarterback back. By the way, we're a little better. Right. Kane Archer comes back and just lights up the sky again. We're back up over 60 a night. The big story is his brother. His brother's got 34 tackles, 7 sacks, 6 hurries. I mean, he's a wrecking machine there on the defensive side of the ball. I tell you who was really happy to see Kane back, though, was Mr. Carnes, Champ Davis, Mr. Arrington. They figured out real fast how quickly they can get the ball. And them 3 wide receivers they got are phenomenal. And he makes it all go. And the number one, once again, our number one school is Bryant. The Hornets just find a way. Jordan Walker threw for 4 or 5 touchdowns last week. They just can. You can't
league them guys.
You can't run the football.
No.
I mean, they don't even have to load the box to stop you. I mean, they're like +1 in the box, and then they just absolutely destroy people up front. And then they run the ball. They run the ball. They don't turn it over.
To the left.
Senior quarterback in there that doesn't get shook at much of anything. You can't show him anything. So that's our number one team, the Bryant Hornets.
Well, no doubt, and they're well deserving just to dominate performance. Go to Little Rock Christian, 48. Just put 48 spot on that thing was over early.
It
was early. Well, let's get into this, and you already mentioned it was our small town, small school game of the week last week. Let's get into our player of the week, and I'm talking if you have not watched that Rivercrest Newport game, watch it on YouTube. I think Newport's got a phenomenal. That running back is unbelievable. And then there's just plays back and forth. We talked about special teams in that game, which we'll talk a little bit about later on, but let's talk about our player of the week this week, Daryl.
Our player of the week is Cavante Washington from Rivercrest, the Colts. He had 267 yards through the air last week against Newport with 2 touchdowns. And he loves to throw the deep ball, by the way, and he throws it really well. Of course, Buda's on the outside. Buda Harris is a phenomenal wide receiver they've got also. He rushed for 113 yards with 2 touchdowns, really kept his composure, didn't turn the ball over. And like I said, they ran the quarterback power to perfection. They pulled everybody. He also had 2 big, huge kick returns in that game, too.
Yes.
But Cavante Washington, he was the game changer in that one. He's our player of the week this week.
And it was just amazing. I got to watch it just wheeled his team down the field for the last game-winning drive. Unbelievable.
Well, and then you called that, too, that Newport couldn't kick field goal, extra points.
Yeah.
It cost them. Runs into you. I bet you they have tryouts this week. Just like some random kids come in, like put the old boot with the toe up and just kick it forward.
We'll have an annountement Monday. If you can kick anybody Monday in Newport, let's get them out here, guys.
Look, I mean, you don't even have to wear pads. We'll try to protect you. Just stay
10 minutes for practice. We'll move you on.
All you need.
But Newport's got a great team. But that kid,
and we had also some great performances last week too. We had Kane Price at Stuttgart, 3 for 287 yards, 5 touchdowns in that game. Of course, coach's kid. We kind of like to call those guys out, but he's got it rolling down there at Stuttgart too. And we had several kids have some. Like I told you, our guy that has already won at Arkadelphia had a phenomenal week last week too. So, but Cavante is our winner.
Cavante's winner. Well, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and bring on our Lindsay and Associated guest, our guest picker. State Representative Matthew Shepard, also voice of the Wildcats. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Well, you're familiar. We've had you on before. You're kind of a story in the high school football guy. You are close with the Wildcats down there in El Dorado. Welcome to the show. I'm going to give you fair warning right now. If you have friends, you got to don't get in outside influences. Go with your heart. Every time. Always go with go with your brain, not your heart. Do that every time.
I've already got text messages that I'm supposed to pick against Morrilton again.
Well, let's
keep the streak going.
Yeah, let's recap last week right here. Difficult week for some. I had a great week. I mean, it's unbelievable. I went 9-1. Should that Osceola Walnut Ridge game, I tell you what, I'd been undefeated. Should have, Coach Gray over there and Coach Hooks at Osceola put a stop to Walnut Ridge. Mouth went 6-4. Daryl, you were 6-4, and our guest picker Steve Wood was 5-5. That's an overall record for me. 44-16. Mouth's 40-20. Daryl, you're 37-23, and our guest picker's 38-27. Well, let's go ahead and get into these games. Let's start down over in God's country. This is a game we talked about a little bit. We circled around in preseason. We got Van Pascal in Cross County, who's started up getting that program back in shape against a powerhouse, especially last year in EPC. Daryl, break this one down.
Well, EPC is off to a 3-2 start. They had a big win over McCrory last week, 22-12, who actually got Cross County lost to. The Cross County comes in at 3-2 and 1-1 also. Cross County's scoring almost 31 points a night and giving up about 16 on defense. EPC is just rolling that way. They still have the Gaines. They have another Gaines kid, Jacob Gaines.
Yeah.
EPC and Rivercrest, watched them play earlier in the year against my Colts. And they were pretty explosive on offense. And they're playing at home. I think Cross County, it's got a bunch of new kids. And, of course, Van Pascal's there, so they always have a chance. But I'm going to take EPC at home in this one.
EPC. Mouth, who you like?
I'm going to go with East Point EPC myself.
Go with EPC. Matthew, who you like in this one?
Well, let me just say at the outset, you send me this list of games, and there's one South Arkansas game in the whole list. Okay? So I'm having to really do some research here. On the other hand, I probably don't have to worry about seeing somebody on the street that I picked again. So
there you go. There you go.
Did me a favor. I'll go EPC.
EPC. I'm gonna go with EPC. I think coaches at Cross County, Van Pascal's doing a good job getting that program around. EPC's been there, got too many weapons. All right, staying over in God's country, got the Tree, Big Mark Tree, going to Desar, which is a very tough place to play. Desar, Carlisle played earlier this year. Desar's been ranked pretty high. The Tree played Newport, got a good football team. Break it down, Daryl.
Mark Tree, they played Newport to open the season and lost 40-48. And since that time, they've only given up 40 points on defense. They're averaging about 32 points a night. They're giving up about 12. So, the Tree is extremely explosive, just like they picked from the get-go. They're going to Desark, though. All right, Desark's off to a 4-1 start. Their only losses to Carlisle. They're 2-0 in their conference. They're led by Davion Bell, the same guy that led them last year.
Yeah.
Big tailback. He has 50 carries for over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. They're giving up about 11 points a game, averaging about 29. I'm going to take Desark at home.
Oh, going with Desark.
The Eagles at home.
And this one could go either way. I mean, Desark's got a really good football team. Mouth, what do you think?
I'm going to go Mark Tree.
Mark Tree all the way. What's your reasoning? Just think too much?
I think it's going to be a really good game. Mark Tree's got a really good, fine running back themselves, as does Desar. I just like Mark Tree.
Like Mark Tree. All right, Matthew.
Well, all these years of going back and forth to Little Rock and on the road for Friday night, always hearing about Desar. They're playing at home, so I'm going to go Desar.
Going with Desar. Got 2-2 on that one. All right, this next game right here, a little bit in South Arkansas here for you, Matthew.
Yeah.
You got Daryl.
You gave me two. You gave me 2 South Arkansas games.
That's right. Let's go check your word. All right, Daryl, here we go. This one here is kind of what I was talking about earlier. You better be ready to play. You got Prescott at Camden Harmony Grove. Harmony Grove destroyed Junction City earlier this year. They're always tough at home. They're always ready. But Prescott, Coach Glass has got them going. Break this one down, Daryl. I think this is a scary one.
Well, this one is, like you said, Harmony Grove is kind of – they're putting a bunch of points on the board. They're averaging almost 50. They won last week over Falk, 52-48. Prescott's coming in off a 63-0 win over Horatio. They're only giving up – on the year, Prescott's giving up 10 points. And like I said, they're working on special teams so they can block field goal, drop that back down to 7s and 6s. Really, really hard to score on. Jaden Pirtle, Dwayne White, like I said, is leading the state in sacks with 8 right now. Pirtle's their leading tackle with 37. Offensively, doing it several different ways. Their quarterback can run it. He can throw it. They're averaging almost 52 points a game. I think Prescott has probably circled this game. Especially got their attention when Harmony Grove went and beat Junction City. So knowing Coach Glass, he's probably got this all fired up. He's probably got them in the film room right now, thinking, "Hey, this is a huge game, big swing game." Harmony Grove wants to show that, hey, they're for real. This is their chance. But I'm going to say the Curly Wolves travel, baby. The Curly Wolves are traveling. They're traveling. Here we come. Prescott in this one. At least I'm going to say by 10.
Ooh, by 10. Wow, I think it could be a little closer than that. All right, Mouth.
You got to go with the Curly Wolves.
Well, I'm going to say this, and before we get Matthew's pick here, they better be ready to go. I'm just telling you. Harmony Grove's been known for upset specials, and this is playing at home. Matthew, you're close to this a little bit. You know both these teams.
I am kind of close to it here, and this is one of those that I guess you were warning me about because, on paper, I'd take Prescott, but until this past, 2 years ago, I had a good chunk of Ouachita County in my district, and so I'm going Harmony Grove.
Oh, wait, man. Oh, wow.
You got that guy close to November.
There we go. That's exactly right.
I feel like a true politician.
Yeah.
Well, I got Junction City in my district, so I'm not. I was not happy with that outcome. But this week, I'll go with Harmony Grove.
We'll go Harmony Grove. I'm going to go with the Curly Wolves, but I'm telling you, I think this is going to come down to the wire. I just do. And Coach Glass, I've talked to Coach Glass. He took notice of that week 0, Junction City game, and he's had his eyes on them, and I think they've had their eyes on them also. Good, great game. All right, going back over to God's country, we've got Wynn at Valley View. Valley View just dominated Harding Academy. I think they're fixing to roll right through that conference the rest of the way. Coach Cockrell's got them going if they can stay focused. And, but Wynn, Coach Toddy, he's been known for upsets, and he's got them playing pretty good. Break it down, Daryl.
Well, Wynn, just the tradition alone, and that he's inherited and kind of brought them back from the horrible incident with the tornado and all that good stuff. I think he's got them kind of, back on track as being a football power like Wynn is. Valley View's kind of the new kid on the block. And like I said, Drew Gartman, their quarterback, is off to a great start. He's got weapons on the outside. Valley View showed a lot last week too. And I think at Valley View playing at home, this is kind of another statement game for those guys. And when you're the new kid on the block, this is the first, a big challenge taking on a traditionally rich school like Wynn. So I'm going to take Valley View at home.
Valley View at home.
Drew Gartman. That guy might end up being our player of the week.
Oh, man, that guy's unbelievable. Mouth, you got to watch little Valley View and Harding Academy. You've kind of talked to some people.
I have. And I got news for you in the 5A East. There's a new big bad bull in the arena. Okay. And it's the Valley View Blazers. And they're blazing right along. I see that Wynn will put up a good fight, but I got to go Valley View.
Valley View. All right, Matthew, who you like in this one?
Well, I really like what Wynn's got going. I like what Coach Toddy's doing up there. They're, as was mentioned, they're kind of reestablishing that tradition up there. But Valley View, I think you got to go with them. One of my good friends in the legislature is Representative Dwight Tosh from up there. I think he's a Valley View Hall of Famer. So I'll go.
That's awesome.
Another political reference.
Matt ain't no dummy.
There you go. Keep it moving, keep it grooving, Matthew. Never make anybody mad. There you go.
There we go. All right, I'm going to also go with Valley View. Just too much power. All right, heading up here to Northwest Arkansas, got Greenbrier, who dominated last week against Clarksville. Headed over to Farmington. Farmington off to a good start in conference play. They're starting to kind of get their stride. Coach Tice has got them going. Coach Wally's putting up a bunch of points offensively, and defensive. Farmington's playing good. Greenbrier's got a great running back. Talk to us about this one, Daryl.
Exactly. Greenbrier's 3-2 and 1-1 in the league with Enoch Asan is his name. 95 carries for over 700 yards and about 9 touchdowns on the year. They're big up front too. Their offensive line's really good. Not bad on the outside. Their front seven's pretty solid. at Greenbrier. They're giving up about 23 points a game, though. Of course, they gave up a bunch of points against Warren in that opening game. They're averaging about 37 points. Farmington's kind of figured it out. I think Coach Moreland over there on the defensive side has kind of figured out how to stop some people because they're allowing 15.2 points a game, but that has dropped drastically since they got into conference play. I mean, they're not letting people score. They're taking care of the ball, just kind of like a old school Tommy Tice team. They're not going to turn it over and beat themselves. They're averaging about 24 points. They're playing at home. Greenbrier is hard to figure out too.
Yeah.
Because you watch them play certain people and it could be quarter to quarter where they're pretty explosive. But, Farmington was picked to win this league. That's the thing you look at too is, all the predictions you can throw out the door, I guess. So Farmington is going to be at home and I'm going to take Farmington.
Oh, okay.
The Cardinals.
Well, their quarterback's playing outstanding, and there you can see offensively, and you even mentioned Coach Moreland's got that defense tightened up after 2 or 3 weeks of play right there. Mouth, who you liking this one? This one's going to be big. You're looking possibly conference championship or a 2 seed in the home playoff game here. What do you think?
Oh, let's just say this right now. Coach Tommy Tice is doing Tommy Tice things.
Yes, sir.
Right now. I gotta go with the Farmington Cardinals.
Going with the Farmington Cardinals. Matthew, who you liking this one?
Yeah, I'm going with the Cardinals as well. I mean, Coach Tice has them playing well. They're at home. You got kind of have the road trip factor here for Greenbrier, and so I'll go with the Cardinals as well.
Well, ladies, I see your points, guys. I'm going to go with Greenbrier. I think that I like their running back. I like their offensive line. They've been tested. Got stopped on the 4th and 1 a couple weeks ago against Morton. I still like them a lot to make a big run. I'm going to go with Greenbrier in this one on the road.
This is where we should put your phone number at the bottom.
Farmington
people will call you.
Yeah, I'm going to hear about it. Luckily, I hopefully won't see those guys for a little while. But they're going to call me. But I just do. I think Coach Tribble. You talk about 2 legendary coaches right
Oh man,
Coach,
yeah.
I mean, all over. You got Bill Harrelson over there as assistant partner, Mark Wally, Coach Tyson, Coach Tribble over there.
Well, there's about 400 years of knowledge.
About 1,000 games coached. Yeah, no doubt. But both of them are very well coached. But I'm gonna go with Greenbrier. I think they're tested. But boy, Farmington's playing good right now. All right, Daryl, here we go. This is close to you, and you jumped on them last week. Got beat by 1. We got Valonia, who just squeaked out against Coach Bray Cook's Pea Ridge Blackhawks last week.
Yeah.
And then Alma, who had a chance to win and upset Morrilton. They go for 2, don't make it at the end, get the onside kick, and don't score. Back and forth game, high scoring. What do you think about this? Coach Ashcraft's got Valonia believing. And the Bologna's on the numbers. Averaging almost 32 points, giving up about 18. Skylar Coe's their quarterback. He's 46 of 83 for over 700 yards. They got a slew of 2 wide receivers. They got a deep threat kid. Got a running back, John Mason Halley, who is also their second leading tackler. So he kind of goes both ways for them. So, they would be very fundamentally sound. Coach Ashcraft's done a really good job with them. Alma is at home. It's homecoming. Oh,
yeah. It's freaking homecoming.
Focus.
Right? But the curse. It's the Frank Vines Field curse. I mean,
can we get this done?
I don't know how much more I can do. I mean, golly, it's like Major League. You give me a chicken or something. I mean, you got to sacrifice something here. You get the daggum field named after the guy that's got 7,000 wins and 7,000 state titles. I don't know how hard it is. But anyway, I think it's the curse. Israel Towns Robinson, offensive line played really well for Alma last week. I thought, I'll just be honest with you, I think Alma gets a little thin and they get so tired in the 4th quarter because they got so many kids going both ways. And then, Towns, you really can't pound it with him too much because he's also probably your best defensive player too. So I think depth's kind of become an issue with them. They're averaging 29 points, but they're giving up 25. Bologna's coming in there. Like I said, I think Alma's going to be fired up because it is actual homecoming. So I am going to take. I'm taking the Airedales. Sorry, I'm going to try to beat the curse. All right, I'm not even going to wear the jacket because the jacket might have been cursed. I don't know. I don't know. But Alma, I'm taking Alma.
Taking Alma. All right, you've been over Mouth. You've close to Valonia program. You've been to a couple practices, and you've been over there. You've seen that program play a little bit. And Alma, what do you think about this one, Mouth?
Going to be a really good game. Coach Ashcraft is just doing Coach Ashcraft things at Valonia. And I'm going to go with the Valonia Eagles.
Mouth's going with the Eagles. Matthew, what do you think about this 5A West matchup, man? I think it's going to be a tough one.
Well, this was a tough one. And who's the coach at Alma?
Rusty Bush. You know that guy.
Yeah. So I'm going with Alma, Rusty Bush, former Illinois assistant. What more can I say?
He proofs in the pudding there. So he's going with Alma.
Yeah, he better voted for you. When he was down there in El Dorado, he better voted for you.
He was in my Sunday school class.
There you go,
along with our lead host here.
That's right. Awesome.
That's right.
It's awesome right there, buddy.
Back in the day. Well, I'm gonna go with Alma also. They've been on the Greenbrier last couple of weeks. Had a chance to win this against Morton. I think they just got a better football team right now, and I'm gonna go with Alma also.
I'm on the limb by myself.
You're with the Eagles by yourself.
That's okay. That's okay. A real man's up for the challenge.
That's exactly right. Well, let's go back down to South Arkansas here. We've got Fairview at Magnolia. And before we do that, let's go ahead and bring on head coach from Magnolia. Coach, welcome to the show. Talk to me. Let's get our audience familiar with you. I mean, Adam Kirby, who you came in here at Magnolia. To give everybody a little bit of background about you. I've been keeping up with you, checking your work. You've been doing a phenomenal job. I had a tough one last week, but coming into Magnolia, let's get everybody familiar about who you are and where you came from.
Yeah, I've been in Magnolia since January. It's been a lot of fun. Been a lot of challenges, but it's been fun. Before that, I was the head coach at Captain Shreve High School down in Shreveport, and before that, I coached in college. So once me and my wife had our twins, I went the high school route, and I got tired of being on the road recruiting and everything. But it was a lot of fun when they were younger, and now that they're a little older, I mean, if Sam Pittman ever listens to this, I'll come work. I'll get back in the college game. But no, it's been a huge blessing. Being up here. I've got my grandfather is from Hot Springs, and my mother-in-law lives over in McGee, and so wanting to get back closer to home, so to speak, in a way. Billy Dawson helped hook me up with this opportunity. He knew our superintendent real well, and I was happy as could be in Shreveport. We were winning. We had a good team coming back, and when Coach Dawson called me about the Magnolia job, I was like, no, not really. I'm good. But Arkansas pays a lot better. Arkansas has a better structure. Arkansas has better facilities. So when we came up here, I was kind of like, yeah, I could do this. And it has been a lot of fun. It's been a challenge, but I think that was part of the fun of it, is seeing if, was I a good coach, or did we just have good players at Shreve? And so, there's days I kind of think both, but that's part of the fun of it.
It is, and so like I said, you go into Magnolia. I mean, they've been running the triple option. Coach King and them there, they had some success. You go into that situation and having to change some things. Talk to me a little bit about some of your kids and some challenges and some of the positives. You talked about facilities. Magnolia's got good facilities. Obviously, you're in a tough league, but talk to us a little about that transition part with some of your kids and getting the program and the structure the way you wanted it.
Yeah. And I'll say what I've always said. I'm not going to say anything, not that you asked to, but, nothing against Coach King or what was being done. It's just not what I believe in, and there's a lot of coaches that still run the triple and the flex bone and the wing tee. And that's great. I mean, Magnolia obviously had success with it. I think if you really look at the last 20 years of Magnolia football, Mark King's only got to leave here with a winning record.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he did a phenomenal job. It just wasn't what I believe in as a coach. And so, the kids were very physical because of that brand of football. And anybody that knows Beefy knows that he's going to be he's going to demand physicality, And so when I say it was a rebuild, it wasn't a rebuild because they weren't lacking of physical toughness. They weren't lacking of discipline or whatever. It just was a rebuild in the sense of I have what I believe in and what I've run as a coordinator and a head coach. And when we got here, like, you think because everybody's running the spread now, kids can line up and run a hitch or run a slant or or read the RPO. And so, like, we're lining up and I'm installing, like, my first month here was just culture. This is what we're going to do in the weight room. This is how we're going to dress. This is our code of conduct, and holding kids to that. But then we start installing, and I remember, like, the first day we're putting in 3x1 10 personnel. And one of our receivers goes, "So I get all the way out to the numbers?" And I'm like, "Yeah, keep going." He's like, "All right." And he's like kind of gently, like, taking steps, like, "Okay, here." I'm like, "Keep going. Keep going." All right, there. And, it's been fun. Like, and again, like, I think kids nowadays, they see what they see on Saturdays and they want to do that. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, I think if you ask any coach, that's still running the triple, and there's a lot of them that are still doing it and having success, but they all fight that battle of having kids and parents that want to spread it out. And, a good example of that is we were playing at Bauxite, and I think we started the game like 2 for 10. And, like, after, like, the 5th incompletion in a row, one of the dads stood up and was like, "Hell yeah, Kirby, keep throwing it. You don't have to." And so, I mean, they've embraced it. The kids have embraced it. And the cool thing about our administration is, we get them 7th grade through 12th grade. So, our 7th graders are doing the same thing, the 8th graders, the 9th grade, and then the JV and the varsity, obviously. So, those groups that are younger, this is all they're going to know. So it's been a lot of fun. But when I say a rebuild, it was just coverages.
Yeah.
Who do you read here? How do you attack this front? You're not in a 4-point stance anymore, firing off. You don't hit contact on level 1 and go to second level. You're trying to get zone combos, gap combos. You're trying to pin and pull. You're trying to, kick out and wrap. And it's just different. But again, it's given me far more energy and enthusiasm. And not to say I'm still young, but it's kind of filled my tank up a little bit more now, as a young coach. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I'll be here 10 years or 10 days left, but we're going to coach and go full speed. And it's been fun doing it.
Well, and no doubt. And you've done a good job. And that thing doesn't just change overnight, putting all that, changing one philosophy to another, especially that huge. Well, let's get into it a little bit. You had a tough one last week against a very talented Lakeside team that, they're, one of the top teams in your conference. It doesn't get any easier. Obviously you got Camden Fairview coming into town. Coach Vaughn does a good job. They're very, very talented. Talk to me just a little bit about Fairview and the issues that they bring to your team and some matchups that we need to be zooming in on.
Yeah, I think, the unique thing, and one of the things that really intrigued me about this job is, like yourself and myself, and I know you've had Coach Dick up at Fayetteville on a couple of times. And, like, if you're a coach, you want to compete. Yeah. And I mean, we all want to win, don't get me wrong, but you want to coach against good coaches and you want to coach against good teams and you want to go against the best and guys that are reputable of being just good football coaches. And believe it or not, that was one of the things that kind of appealed to me about the job instead of shied me away from it. Is I knew Coach Vaughn from when I was in Louisiana, and we tried to schedule a game with Camden just because, like, we can go an hour and 45 minutes north to Camden and play them, or we can go 3 hours to Lafayette or 4 hours to New Orleans. Like, they're just, it made sense to us. So between him and Coach Outlaw at Arkansas High, we had talked about it a little bit, and Coach Turner at Hope, and just knowing Brad Bolding and the job he's done with a very similar type school as we had at Shreve, I had contacts with a bunch of those guys. And so when you're talking about Lakeside with Coach Rock, it's just physicality and discipline. I mean, they're not, and I mean this as a compliment, they're not trying to out-scheme you. Their kids believe in their heart. I'm tougher. I'm going to play more physical, and we're going to be better coached than you are. Like, it doesn't matter if you know counter's coming. We're still going to run counter for 6 yards. Now, having 44 helps any football team, because I told my kids, I get to talking, but I told them, hyping them up. I said, let's see if 44 really wants to play 4 quarters of physical football. And about midway through the third, one of my kids came up to me and said, Coach, hey, did I get him down? I said, no. I said, he wants it. I said, he wants all 4 quarters. I said, he was a stud. But yeah, now we got Camden, and then we'll have Coach Burnett in Hot Springs, and then we welcome Brad and Bobby down to South Arkansas to get Parkview. So the next, what started off last week is 4 weeks. Now it's 3 are going to be very, very tough. But all 4 of those guys, especially, Camden this week, is going to be very well coached. When you watch the tape, they don't hurt themselves. They're not doing anything dumb, and they execute in all 3 phases of the game. And you can just tell the structure and the discipline. I haven't gotten enough into the film. Saturday's my day off. I spend with the twins. And then usually about 4 o'clock, I really dive into the film until about midnight. And that's kind of my routine. But just from watching the little bit that I have and just knowing Coach Vaughn, I know that they're going to be extremely well coached. I know that they're not going to hurt themselves. And, their quarterback and running back are both electric. They've got a pretty big, good-sized D-line that gets after them and pins their ears back a little bit. So it's going to be a challenge, but one that I know our kids are going to be excited about because it's a huge rivalry game. So I'm looking forward to getting them, on campus and seeing if we can compete with them.
Well, and it will be, and they're scoring a lot of points. Give me about 2 key components. Like you ain't dove into the lab too much yet when we're recording this. Talk to us a little bit, just some key things that you guys got to do to get away with a victory here.
We've got to start faster on offense than we have been, and that's every game. I mean, we've been fortunate, as we said here at the midway point, to be 3-2. And, I'm not that familiar with how Arkansas works, but I've been led to believe if we can win, 3 of our next 5, we'll be in the playoffs because that'll give us 4 conference wins. So, that's really what our kids are focused on is one game at a time, but we've got to start faster offensively. Can we do that? Maybe, right? I mean, we've got a sophomore quarterback in a new system where now those guys, the bullets are flying. It's not practice against the scout team, and it's not 7-on-7 in the summer. And then, defensively, I thought we played well up until Lakeside. We've given up, I think it was 19.6 or something, 19.8 points per game. I think I've got the best defensive staff in the state of Arkansas. I brought Coach Boone with me from Louisiana. He was at a different school, but his dad had been a head coach in Louisiana, has won like 150 games. So he's a guy that's grown up in it and has been a coordinator a long time. Then we've got Jeff Savage, who's been at Magnolia, does a great job with our kids. And then Doug Means, who's been the head coach at Hampton and Norflet. So those 3 are on defense. And, you've got all 3 of them who have either been a coordinator or a head coach, and kind of you pinball ideas off the wall. One of them is going to stick that, they've seen it before. So defensively, I'd like to see us be a little bit more, communication oriented in the secondary, instead of, especially against motions and in and out routes and stuff like that. But I think it's all going to come down to whether or not our offensive line can play better, and then we can start faster because 2 of the last 3 games we've kind of gone 3 and out on the first series, and Hamburg, we ended up losing 28-26, and then Lakeside, we got blown out. So I'd like to see us start faster on the offensive side of the ball for sure.
Well, and you'll get those things going. And like I said, and you brought it up, and we talk about it on this show all the time. At the end of the day, all the skilled guys get all the credit, but it's those guys up front on both sides of the ball that in your league and everybody's league usually determines it, and no doubt.
Yeah, and I joke with my wife, when we were at Shreve, my 2 tackles are both SEC. One's committed to LSU, one's committed to Arkansas. My 2 guards were both 6'3". My center was 6'1". And, I love my kids at Magnolia, but they don't look like that.
Oh.
And so, my center's like 5'9", my left guard's like 5'9", and they give me all they got, boy. I'm real proud of them. I am. But, I didn't realize, I guess at the time, the luxury of just being able to line up and run inside zone and go get 6 yards when you need it. So,
yeah. I always like to coach those guys that are a lot bigger than me.
Absolutely. I mean, and I've coached O-line my whole career. And I said, if you look like me and you're 5'9", 200 pounds, it's going to be a long night.
Exactly. Well, Coach, I'll get you off here, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. Hey, we'll be checking your work. Good luck to you this week.
I appreciate you having me on, and thank you for welcoming me to Arkansas. I mean, honestly, it's been a blast. It's been a huge blessing to me and my family. We enjoy it. And, looking forward to being here for a long time. So thank you for the welcome. Thanks for having me on, and looking forward to keeping up with you, man.
We'll do it. We'll have you on because you got some big games down the road also.
Yeah, for the next, several weeks. So if you're ever short on guests, you just give me a call.
We'll do it. See you, Coach. Have a good one, man.
Y'all take care. See you guys.
Take care, buddy. Coach thinks, they got a good football team. Daryl came off a tough loss last week against Lakeside. He's building that program. But he's got the Fighting Vaughns, but he's got them at home. This is a big 5A South matchup. What do you think about this one, Daryl?
Well, Fairview comes in 3-2, 1-1 in the league, averaging about 41 points a night, giving up 25. Jerome Williams is actually the leading tackler in Arkansas. He's over 75 tackles for the Fighting Vaughns, and the quarterback, Daryl Atkins Jr., makes everything happen. He's over 1,192 yards passing. 11 touchdowns. He's also rushed for 263 yards. He is their offense pretty much. Trent Haygood chips in at running back. Pretty explosive guy. He's actually the Haygood kid is actually their second leading rusher and their leading receiver. So they split him out a bunch, do a lot of things with him. He's got over 800 yards combined offense with 13 touchdowns. He's caught 6. So they're pretty active with those dudes. They got some weapons on the outside. Willie Horton is on the other side too. Magnolia comes in this game. It's all led by Jamian Young, their running back. He's over 600 yards with 6 or 7 touchdowns now. Had a rough time against Lakeside getting anything going. Of course, Coach Rockwell's got those guys playing really good. I mean, they're really good, especially up front. Defensively, their front seven's really good. Their back end ain't bad either. Magnolia is scoring about 24, giving up 22. I think the Fighting Vaughns are putting their stamp on where they're going to lean in this conference. I think they go on the road to Magnolia and win in a close one. I think this will be a close game.
Close game. All right, Mouth, you got the Fighting Vaughns at Magnolia. You're familiar with the Fighting Vaughns, obviously. Talk to us a little bit about this one.
This is going to be a really good matchup here. But you know me, I've got to go with the Fighting Vaughns, Camden Fairview.
Going with Camden Fairview. Matthew, you're close to this. You've seen Camden Fairview against El Dorado in a classic game. You're right there close to Magnolia. You probably got more insight about this ball game than anybody else. Break it down for us.
Well, I mean, Magnolia, they've had a good run so far and kind of getting things back on track over there. But as we all know, Fairview always going to be athletic. Coach Vaughn's got him playing well. El Dorado had to hold on at the end to protect the home victory in a series that's gone back and forth the last several years. So, Coach Vaughn, y'all already, we're all familiar with him. Of course, he was an El Dorado guy, offensive line coach. And I had somebody drop off something the other day at my office and was looking through. These were some old El Dorado programs. There's another guy that was a former offensive line coach at El Dorado. I'll let your viewers see that.
Look at that.
Yep,
right
there we
there.
go. So that's quite a staff. Got Jeff Williams, Keith Fimple, Scooter Register. This is back in 97.
Yeah. Guy had brown hair back in too, man.
Yeah, I was going to show the little close up because then you had like a crew cut going. So
let's get down business, man.
I gotta go Camden Fairview.
Going Camden Fairview. Well, I'm with you. I think the Fighting Vaughns, they're scoring a bunch of points. Coach is getting that program right. They're in the mix down there at Magnolia, but I think the Fighting Vaughns just got too much. All right, headed back up to Northwest Arkansas here. Ooh, we come in waiting for this.
Bell ringer, buddy.
There we go.
Bell ringer game
here. We got Harbor at Springdale. And before we get into it, let's go ahead and bring on the head Red Dog himself, the head coach from Springdale, Lindsay's associated guest, Coach Brett Hobbs. Coach, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Coach. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, let's get into it. Off to a huge start. 5-0 hadn't been done. And I don't remember. It's been a long time. You probably know that answer. We'll get into that. Talk to us a little bit before we get into this huge matchup, Crosstown Rival game that you're going to have this Friday night. Talk about your football team, the progression going. Let's recap a little bit. Going into Bentonville West, it's a tough place to play. Coach Pratt and them do a great job. And you guys go in there, and we were just talking about the long drives, those 13-play, 16-play drives. Talk to me about the development of your team and what you like and where y'all are at.
Yeah, and that's the thing, just talking about the Bentonville West game a little bit. We only had 17 offensive plays in the first half. So, it's hard to get into a rhythm. West had a good game plan as far as keeping our offense off the field. But in that second half, we had the opening drive. We took 8 minutes off the clock, 15-play drive for a touchdown, had another 15-play drive, and then, was able to run out the clock at the end. But, our guys they're starting to believe, they're getting some confidence, and we're playing pretty clean football as far as not turning the ball over. These guys, we have great leadership, especially from our senior class. Those guys have taken their lumps throughout the years, but they wanted to make a change. And, it started, in the off season and everything. And these kids just love playing football, but they really enjoy being around each other and playing together. So that's always important and big.
Well, I tell you, then this is kind of off the deal here, but they always put out on the internet, social media after y'all win, and you can see the fun and the excitement those kids are having and the success. Well, let's switch over here a little bit. Let's talk about your Crosstown Rival, Harbor. They are putting up all kinds of points, but they're giving up a lot of points also. And let's talk to a little bit about, I've been in one of these games, the north side, south side game, and you can throw records out, and people react different in this game. Guys been steady for you all year, might get nerves. Talk to me a little bit about the game, and talk to me a little bit about the problems Harbor presents for you.
Yeah. Just like you said, you can throw those records out, in a big rivalry game. We know that they're going to play probably their best football and be ready to go. It is exciting as far as being able to play, and especially being in this situation. But we've got to make sure and, not get too caught up in the hype or, it's hard to do, but we've got to treat this like any other game. And we always tell them, hey, the most important game is the game we're playing. So we're going to continue emphasizing that, we can't worry about anybody else but ourselves. With Harbor, like you said, they are putting up a lot of points. They do a lot of things offensively as far as the trades and shifts and motions to either get your eyes in the wrong place or misaligned to where they can, add an extra hat in there. So they do a good job as far as moving people around, and with their offensive scheme. Their running back, man, he was an all-conference performer last year as a sophomore. He runs the ball extremely well. The quarterback, he can run with his legs, also throws the ball well. They've got some experience back on the offensive line. Offensively, Harbor can prevent you some problems. Our main thing is we've got to be able to get lined up, know our responsibility, communicate, and then, make them earn everything. Don't give up the big play. Defensively, they have struggled a little bit, and it's kind of hard to tell how some of the defense are going to play us with what we do offensively. But I think if we continue what we've been doing offensively, protect the football, we have some dangerous skill guys and a pretty big offensive line. So, It's kind of pick your poison with some of our players. Each week somebody else steps up and has a big game. So that's been real crucial for us as well.
Well, and you talked about, Coach Chick, your defense coordinator, has done a great job. He's a great coach. Been a lot of guys in a lot of big games, and that part of it. You got them at home, and which to me in those rival games, it's in town. It really don't matter. So a lot of times,
sure.
but let's kind of get off subject here. Let's talk a little bit about the remodel over at your place at the Bulldog Stadium. Gerald Williams named the field after him, and that part of. Talk to us a little bit. What's that meant for your kids? Redoing the field, the big jumbotron, and that part, and what your school district's done for you. What's that meant for your program?
Oh man, it's been huge. Coach Fimple, he did it the right way. This place is going to be a focal point, for everybody in the state, and kind of model what it's supposed to look like. But, this summer, whenever I had a Channel 5 or 4029 interview, I said, the one thing with this remodel, the new field and everything, I think it's going to give our kids a little bit of confidence, having, something new that they take pride in, and showing that, hey, our administration, hey, they believe in you. We're giving all these nice facilities. Now let's go out there and let's play. And, with the new field turf, the jumbotron, moving the field over, just the fencing around it. It's a special place for sure. And I think, everybody that comes here has been very complimentary. And, hopefully we'll have that place rocking on Friday.
Well, it will be. Everybody in Springdale, maybe there's going to be there, obviously. And then, you guys being 5-0, and I think you're going to see an epic crowd over there this Friday night. Might even go back to those 2005 days.
No doubt. Well, I hope so. We'll be ready. That's for sure.
Well, no doubt. Well, Coach, I know you're busy. Hey, get back to work, and hey, we'll be checking your work. Real proud of you and your staff and what y'all have created in that culture there this year. And people don't know you've been building this over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And the things, you just don't flip it overnight, but you've put in the time and gone through the do's and the pains and the everything, and you deserve everything you get, and good luck to you down the road.
Oh, I appreciate that. I've got a wonderful staff. So, hey, thanks for having me on, Jeff.
Well, good luck to you, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
See you.
All right, bye.
Well, you can see Coach Hobbs has got a lot of confidence in his team going on to Bentonville West and winning that game, which they hadn't done, all to a 5-0 start. Unbelievable. But they've been in this, not in this exact position, but they've had some momentum going in this game before and hadn't worked out for them. Crosstown Rivals, Harbor's dominated this series. Talk to me a little bit about this one, Daryl.
Well, the biggest thing about Harbor, man, they score a ton of points. The other big thing about Harbor is they give up a ton of points. I don't know if they know. I don't know if they're playing defense with 11 kids. They might just be playing with 9 and just get them off the field as quick as possible. Harbor, you look at their stats offensively. Titus Kramer's their bell cow running back, 79 carries for over 500 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's also got 14 catches for 298 yards. Evan Baker's their quarterback. He's played really, really well early on. Like I said, they can score a ton of points. It's just getting stops is the problem. Springdale, 5-0, first time since 2005. They're 2-0 coming out of the gates in the conference play. Had a big win over West, 28-24. Springdale is in that moment now. They're kind of taking on the personality of Coach Hobbs. I mean, the whole offensive line coach, and they're down and dirty. The only question about them defensively is, can they hold up against the pass?
Yeah.
And that's what Harbor does well. So this is going to be one of those telltale signs right here. And it's pretty much going to place them. But let me tell you, Springdale last week had 4 drives, of 16 or more plays.
Wow.
Did you get that? 16 or more plays, 4 drives. They had their first drive was 13 plays, 64 yards, quarterback sneak. By the way, for a touchdown.
Underneath center.
That's what we're doing. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going under center. Yeah, we're not taking the direct snap. And this is Red Dogs, baby. They just pound people. So they kind of took on his personality. And like I said, the biggest question mark is going to be on the back end. This is a rival game. They're across the street. I don't know how much they really like each other. I'm sure we've had some transfers, all that good stuff that's taking place here. And like I said, this would be a huge, epic win for Springdale that could really propel them to a great season. Right now I got them. You think about them right now, they're set up. They win this game, they could be in the mix with your Roger. They get like a 4 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed. You don't know how that's going to roll out, but the rest of this is going to be the biggest challenge for them, I think, because Harbor can throw the football.
Yeah.
And we're going to see if Springdale can keep them from doing that. So at home, I'm taking the Red Dogs on the big video board. We're going to go 6-0, and Coach Hobbs might get a street named after him. We can't name the stadium after him because you got about 700 more. Coach Williams has got that all covered out, so he's going to have to probably get like a street named after him.
Right there in front of the stadium. Let's mark it out.
Just Hobb Lane or something like that.
Yeah, something good like it. All right, Mouth. This is going to be intensity.
It's going to be. Let's buckle up our chin straps double tight and let's go. But Springdale, Harbor's good at throwing the ball, but if Springdale is able to have 13 play drives, 16 play drive, that's the best way to defeat a team that can throw the ball because they're not getting on the field the last time I checked. Okay? So I'm going with I must give a shout out to the athletic director of Springdale Public Schools, Keith Fimple, doing an outstanding job. He's got the Red Dogs ready to go 6-0. I'm going with the Red Dogs.
Well, I think you're on top of that. You like the Red Dogs. Matthew, this one right here, it's a tough pick because Springdale's kind of been not necessarily in this situation before, but every time it looks like they're fixing to overtake, Harbor's come back and won the game. Break this one down.
Well, I guess going with my theme, since Coach Fimple's the athletic director, that would be instructive. I guess he can't really lose, can he? I mean, I don't know. In this one, I guess you win. Huh? So, Springdale, they're rolling. Harbor's a rival. Not only being a rival, they're right there, and, I look back on my great junior high career here in El Dorado, Barton Rogers, and you throw the records out the window. But I'm going to go Springdale, and as Lee Corso would say, closer than the experts think.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I'm going to go Coach Hobbs also. I think they got it going on. They're playing. You can see it. I mean, you see the videos after the game. They're playing with tons of confidence. The question is, can they slow them down a little bit? Because Harbor's going to score. I believe in Kenneth Chick, the defense coordinator at Springdale. I think he gets it done. All right, here we go. Our 2 games of the week. Let's start with our small school game of the week. Same team back in this same conference. We got Newport, who I'm going to tell you, I think by the end of the year, they've got players everywhere, and they do a good job coaching. And last week could have went either way. Going against Robert Hooks and Osceola and Coach Butch Gray over there, who shut down Walnut Ridge last week. Coach Gray's one of the top defense coordinators in the state of Arkansas. This one here, big playoff implications right here. Daryl, break this one down.
Well, both teams are explosive in their own right. Osceola just jumped all over them.
Yeah.
They got after them from the get-go, and they were playing from behind the whole entire time, which Walnut Ridge was not built to play from behind.
Yeah.
And Osceola figured it out real fast. Newport 4-1, 1-1 on the year, averaging 53 points. It starts with Keandre Barker. He had a 90-yard kickoff return last week, had 202 yards rushing, 3 TDs. He's on the year. He's almost over 800 yards already, with 11 touchdowns on 68 carries. Luke Reynolds, the quarterback, played real well last week, threw 3 touchdown passes. They're led on the defensive side by Tyler Ridley with 5 sacks. Newport, like I said, they're explosive on so many ways. But once again, they go for 2. Yeah. They get crooked numbers up there.
I think they're like 1 for 5 last week with that.
It's tough, tough in that smaller box too to score anyway. But anyway, they travel to Osceola. Like I said, Osceola's just come up with ways to win. They're tradition rich. Tyler Beller's their quarterback. He ran for 24-yard touchdown, 3 for 2 last week to Maurice Washington. They ended up beating Walnut Ridge 26-14, which was kind of a statement game in that league.
Yeah. Yes,
tell you the truth, and Newport just got out of a statement game with the Colts. So, this is a heck of a league that they're both of them are getting to play in. But can Newport go to Osceola and win? Is the biggest, hugest question there is. I guess that's why we're on a pick'em show. That's why I'm taking Osceola.
Go with the Seminoles.
Go with the chop.
Go with the Seminoles over there.
Go with the chop.
It's over there at God's country. You're close to. You've been to Newport.
I've been to Newport. I like their team. I truly do. I'm going Newport.
Mouse going with Newport. Matthew, break this one down. Coach Gray's over there called defensive, former Eldorado assistant also.
Man, we've gone up against him a number of times when he West Memphis, and he's always able to put together a great game plan. Coach Hooks, we've been going up against him. He goes back to, I guess, Fairview but more recently head coach at West Memphis, and we've seen him, and he does a great job. This is a tough one. I called my friend Coach Stu Smith up at Batesville. I was asking him because I knew Batesville had seen Newport earlier in the year. Coach Smith's a former state rep with me. Yeah. I'm going to go Newport. I think it's going to be close, but they're coming off a loss. I think that's probably going to be the motivation going on the road. Us against the world. I'll go with Newport in this one.
Go with Newport. Well, the key to Newport is not letting Rivercrest beat them 2 weeks in a row right here. Be honest, it was a hype game.
That was Hall of Fame coach name right there.
I mean,
that was speak right there. Yeah.
You can't let them beat you twice. And I think Coach Reardon and them will get it back up. I mean, they got Randy Moss out there playing receiver, man. Stuff that guy and give it to the tailback. Man, that tailback is unbelievable. I'm going to go with the Greyhounds. I know Coach Gray will have that defense ready to go, but there's you got to stop the quarterback, the receiver, the running back, and they're not bad on defense. And I'm going to go with the Greyhounds also in this one. All right, here we go. Our big school game of the week. This one here's interesting. You got PA at Bryant. Let's talk about Bryant. Daryl, you got them ranked number 1. Big Brother's back in town, and we're taking over. PA, Anthony's doing a great job over there. They're just rolling along. They've got prepared. This is they're very familiar with Bryant. I mean, they've scrimmaged them probably
they've scrimmaged for years.
Yeah, for 8 years. So it's not like they're walking in. They ain't seen the Bryant Hornets before. Break this one down.
Well, Pulaski Academy has come into the Central, and their first 2 games were North Little Rock, which was a blowout, and then they beat Central last week 63-14. But I think that Coach Lucas does a good enough job that he's telling these kids, "Hey, look, this is it. This is it. This is where we test our mettle at." Pulaski Academy's averaged about 52 points a night. Brandon Cobb, their quarterback. He's phenomenal. He's our first leading rusher. He accounts for almost 1,700 it's over 1,820 yards already on the year, 22 touchdowns on the ground and through the air. Javion Walker's kind of a big weapon they've got too. They also get after the quarterback really well. Now Bryant, I don't know how they're going to stack up inside against Bryant's power run game, which is a whole different story. Bryant's averaging 46.5 points. Walker's he's over about 1,300 yards and over almost 20 touchdowns on the year. Jordan threw for 5 last week against Little Rock Christian. He had 450 yards of total offense by himself, by the way. Yeah, he's playing at a high clip. Carter Ratliff, our guy, we love that kid. He is a big-time player. Myron Thrash, the Anderson kid, they had 251 yards rushing against Little Rock Central. I'm going to say more of that's going to come to Pulaski Academy. Bryant's going to be playing at home, and this is Pulaski Academy's first shot at a real competition in 7A Central. Big, huge playoff implications on this one. But I'm taking Bryant at home in a statement game.
You think it's statement game?
Oh, I think it's going to be a statement game. Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. Mouth, what do you think about this?
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be very interesting because it's going to be very interesting how the line of scrimmage is won here. Pulaski Academy's got a big, really talented offensive line, and we know what the great wall of Bryant looks like on defense. Somewhat, if Pulaski Academy can move those granite sculptures of Bryant, they got a chance. But I'm going with the Bryant Hornets. I think these two could very easily see each other in the playoffs. We're going to have a round 2 of this.
Well, do you think this is a statement game, or do you think it's going to be really close?
Oh, I think it'll be close. I think it'll be close. There won't be 62 points scored in this one by either team, but I think it'll be a great competitive game.
Okay. All right, Matthew.
Well, I mean, I look forward to seeing how this one plays out. Pulaski Academy, we saw them last year. They knocked my Wildcats out playoffs up there. Moving up to 7A, this has been, much talked about with Christian and PA moving up to 7A. And even though, they've scrimmaged through the years, I do think there's something just a little different when, now it's not just a scrimmage. It's not just maybe a non-conference type deal. Bryant at home, I think that makes a difference. And, so I'll say Bryant, but, I think that that's something that, is, later you get into the playoffs and maybe they meet up again. But I think that, I think Bryant at home. I don't think it'll be a statement game. I don't know if it comes down to the final possession, but I think Bryant at home, they're used to playing these types of games. PA's used to it as well, but this is kind of a little different when you're now moved up 7A, and it's kind of their first shot to really make a statement at the 7A level.
Well, and I agree with you. I mean, they've done that. They've got prepared for it. I mean, I've watched them just like you have, jumping from classification 4A, 5A, and then they got prepared for 6A, and they're getting prepared for 7A with the type of kids that they got out there. I think Bryant's way too much. But I will say this: I think PA gives them some trouble because PA is so unique. I mean, if they score and get a couple onside kicks and things like that, get a turnover too. But at the end of the day, of it is those guys up front, they're steady. You can take them wherever you want to go. You can take them on the road. You can play with them at home. And I think both their defensive line and offensive line is going to be the difference. And I'm going to go with the Bryant Hornets on this one. All right. Before we get off here, Daryl, let's kind of recap for this week. What are you looking for this week?
Well, I think the Bryant Pulaski Academy game is probably the most interesting game to take place because, like you said, it's a kind of a unique setup. I'll add one thing to that is that I don't know if Pulaski Academy has seen just we're going to pull the right side. We're going to come right at you and smash mouth football. Like Bryant can play so many different ways.
Yeah.
It's scary. But like you said, you've always got a shot. You got to force Bryant into some turnovers. You've got to get, extra possession somewhere along the game. And I think that's going to be an interesting game. I think of course, Newport and Osceola, that's a great game. We've been watching that conference all year long because it is loaded.
Yeah.
There's going to be somebody left out that might be able to, actually get on the right side of the bracket and win it. So, this is October, so people are figuring out who they are, what they are, how healthy they are too, comes into play. So we're going to see. But once again, it's surely the goodness is going to get cold eventually.
No, man.
It's like 92 on Friday, I think. Kickoff time. That's when I'm wearing eye black. And in October, you don't wear eye black in October, for God's sakes. It's supposed to be getting cold eventually. And I think that's where you find out really quick how good people are up front and if they can run the football and not turn it over. So some interesting games this week for sure.
No doubt. Mouth, what's your recap? What are you looking for this week?
Another, as we get closer to the finish line of conference season, the games just get bigger and bigger, and you have in our top 10, you have just so many big games each week that you just got to go. If you're in the town where one of our top 10 games of the week is, go to them. You need to be there. that's what I'm looking most forward to, looking at all these games and following them on Friday nights.
I got you. Well, Matthew, what do you think? And let's talk a little bit about the El Dorado Wildcats also. You're close to that program and that 6A East. Talk to what you're trying to find out this week and what you see in the 6A East and the Wildcats also.
Well, you know what I want to see this week is I want to see a Wildcat victory at Silver. We're going to channel the spirit of 2004, right, Jeff, when the fighting Jeff Williams in the playoffs. I think Sylvan Hills was a 1 seed, weren't they?
They were 1 seed. They were
1 seed. But guess what? The Wildcats went up there, took the victory, moved on. I think that's what we're going to see out of the Cats this week. We're going to, get back in the win column, and we're about to make a run.
I got you. Well, we see that. What do you think about the 6A East? I mean, Benton's kind of been up there. Of course, you saw Marion last week. Is it kind of top heavy, or is then everybody's kind of in mixed up in
a I think most people would say Benton's probably going to be the team to beat. We saw Marion this past week, and it was a back and forth game. Marion, in the second half, they've got a strong offensive line. Their left tackle, they ran behind him. When they're going left, they're running behind him, and when they're going right, they're pulling him. So, that's that, and that works. So, but I think Benton's probably the team to beat. Marion, hopefully, El Dorado will get going here, and should be exciting. And then, we've seen the East compared to the West the last few years has been a little more wide open. So hopefully the Cats can, make some noise over in the East.
Well, good deal. And I'm sure they will. Well, guys, let's do this. Hey, I've got a bunch of messages this week about our merchandise. We're running things on our story on Instagram. You can get on there, get a hat, shirts, sweatshirts. Look at that. Also hit that like and subscribe button. Our YouTube. We're on YouTube. We're on X. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Our Facebook numbers have blown up. And Matthew, for coming on, you're our guest picker. We're going to send you a T-shirt and $100 gift card to All American Steakhouse in Springdale. So when you're up here watching the Hogs, you can go over and have a big steak, man.
All right. In the meantime, I'll check the ethics rules to make sure I can accept that. If not, I will send you a check for the value of whatever you send me. So on the record, we're going to do things the right way, right?
Well, that's exactly right. We're not breaking any rules here. We're not rule breakers here at all.
Here, guys, come on.
Well, that's awesome. Well, for Coach Jeff Williams, Coach Daryl Fimple, the Mouth, Brent Benner, and our guest picker, Matthew Shepard, we'll see you next time.